To the 250th anniversary of Ludwig van Beethoven. I am delighted to see so many of you here today. My name is Katja Sippel, and I'm the Executive Director of the German American Heritage Foundation located in Washington, D.C. GAHF was founded in Pennsylvania in 1977 with the purpose of bringing German Americans together to remember our past and to work for a better future. And I think we are in the process of accomplishing that today. It is really wonderful to see everybody from near and far. And it's not a normal year. In a normal year, we would be gathering in the German American Friendship Garden on the National Mall. That is not happening this year due to the COVID pandemic. But every challenge also brings opportunity. And the opportunity is that we can gather here in a virtual fashion beyond physical and geographical boundaries. And we can broadcast this event beyond the greater Washington, D.C. area. And I think that's truly fantastic. I hope you will enjoy today's program to commemorate the German American Day. And we truly are delighted to be able to present you such a variety of different parts. We have music, we have a montage of videos with voices from the German American community, and a wonderful assortment of artists and contributors, including the German Embassy, our guest speakers who will read the proclamations, former Governor of California, Jerry Brown, musician Alex Meixner, and the American virtuosi, Katja Albrecht, our wonderful co-host and pastor of the United Church. She will say a few words in a very short time. And last but not least, my colleague, Elizabeth Kam, who has put together these wonderful videos that you will see today. So Katja, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much. It is really a great pleasure and an honor to be part of this celebration this year. I will have the opportunity to give a short message later on in the program. So I'm just really grateful about this cooperation, and it's wonderful to see you all here for this event today.
Great, excellent. We will start with the national anthems played by Alex Meixner on trumpet.
Can we all please stand for the German national anthem? Now, of course, the American national anthem.
Well, thank you so much, Beth. We will continue with a short video presentation about the history of German American Day. Today, on October the 6th, we celebrate our German American heritage by commemorating the date in 1683, 337 years ago, when 13 families from the German town of Krefeld landed in Philadelphia. These families subsequently founded Germantown, Pennsylvania, the first German settlement in the original 13 colonies. They were led by Franz Daniel Pastorius, a native of Sommerhausen in the German Duchy of Franconia and a lawyer by training. Earlier in 1683, a group of Mennonites, Pietists, and Quakers in Frankfurt, Germany, including Abraham Obden Graef, a cousin of William Penn, had approached Pastorius about acting as their agent to purchase land in Pennsylvania for a settlement. In Philadelphia, he negotiated the purchase of 15,000 acres, approximately 61 square kilometers of land, from William Penn, the proprietor of the colony, and laid out the settlement of Germantown, where he himself would live until his death in 1720. As one of Germantown's leading citizens, Pastorius served in many public offices. He was the first mayor, he was a bailiff, and he was also a member of the Pennsylvania General Assembly in 1687 and 1691. Germantown was eventually absorbed into Philadelphia in 1854. But as its own settlement, Germantown played a significant role in American history. It was the birthplace of the American anti-slavery movement, the site of a Revolutionary War battle, the temporary residence of George Washington, the location of the first Bank of the United States. Many German Americans commemorated their heritage with local versions of German American Day in the 19th century. It is believed that the first German Day was celebrated in Philadelphia in 1883, on the 200th anniversary of the settlement of Germantown, to acknowledge the importance of German influence in the area. Sadly, World War I brought an end to German Day, and much of the pride people had in their culture was tucked away for nearly 60 years. The holiday was revived in 1983 when President Ronald Reagan proclaimed October the 6th as German American Day to celebrate and honor the 300th anniversary of German American immigration and culture to the United States. Mr. Helmut Krüger, a native of Germany and our 2019 Distinguished German American of the Year, who was then the president of GAHF, played a vital role in establishing German American Day, and he also worked with President Reagan to pass a bill for the development of a German American Friendship Garden. On August 6, 1987, Congress approved Resolution 108, designating October the 6th as German American Day, and it became public law on August 18th. A proclamation was issued on October the 2nd, 1987, by President Reagan in a formal ceremony in the White House Rose Garden, at which time the president called on Americans to observe the day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Well, thank you so much. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce Dawn Thurow, our first vice president, who will be presenting a greeting from the Board of Directors of the German American Heritage Foundation, and also include a thank you to Gerhard Mainzer. Dawn?
Thank you, Katja. Hello, guten Tag. My name is Dawn Thurow, and I'm first vice president of the German American Heritage Foundation, or GAHF, in Washington, D.C. On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of the GAHF, I would like to welcome you to the celebration of German American Day, first proclaimed by President Ronald Reagan in 1983. As many of you may already know, GAHF is celebrating the 10th anniversary of its German American Heritage Museum in the nation's capital, as the first truly national inspiration for German American heritage and culture. Our foundation, which was founded in 1977 in Philadelphia, has grown to represent German Americans throughout the United States, and it's an effort that we will continue in order to broaden our audience and increase public knowledge about the rich heritage of all Americans of German and German-speaking descent. I would also like to extend our sincere appreciation and gratitude for Gerhard Mainzer, the president of the Association of German American Societies of Greater Washington, D.C., also known as AGAS, and a member of many German American social clubs, including the Rhinelande Social Club, the Concord Club, and the Washington Sängerbund. For the last several years, Mr. Mainzer organized the German American Day celebration in the German American Friendship Garden and promoted the event in the wider German American community of the Washington metropolitan area. He coordinated with the National Park Service and the German Embassy and made transport arrangements for Maryland-based German Americans who wanted to join the festivities. Several years ago, he was awarded the Bundesverdienstkreuz, which is the Medal of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany, for his many contributions to promote German-American friendship. Thank you, Gerhard Mainzer, for your many years of service from the board, staff, and membership of GAHF. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dawn. It is now my great pleasure to bring a video greeting from the German Embassy. This is a pre-recorded greeting. Unfortunately, the ambassador couldn't join us live today. She would have very much loved to, but she sends her best wishes and her congratulations. And we have a video greeting from her.
To all our friends in the German American community, I would like to send my warmest greetings on this German American Day. Normally, we would be celebrating at the German American Friendship Garden here in DC. This garden was dedicated by President Reagan and Chancellor Kohl in November 1988 as a tribute to our enduring friendship. And on this German American Day, it's important to me to acknowledge all those who nurture the relationship on a daily basis. It is you we celebrate today. The German Americans who have helped build up this country, the Americans and Germans that engage in a vibrant cultural exchange, the Americans and Germans that take pride in and cherish a shared history. You are part of a relationship and of all the efforts to give it sustenance that it needs if we want to carry it into the future. 3 days ago, we have celebrated the day on which Germany, East and West, has reunited 30 years ago, the 3rd of October 1990. On the long path leading to that day, America was with us every step of the way. We'll never cease to be grateful for that. Any relationship depends on people who breathe life into it. So it is to all of you who are part of this relationship that I say thank you for all you're doing to sustain the bonds of German-American friendship.
That was Ambassador Emily Haber, Germany's ambassador to the United States, from her office in Washington, D.C. at the German Embassy. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Hardy von Auenmüller, the treasurer of GHF, who will read the proclamation from the White House.
Good afternoon. Greetings from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. It's my honor to read the proclamation of German American Day from the White House. Since our founding, German Americans have been central to our progress as a nation. Industrious and faithful early German immigrants came to our shores to fulfill dreams in economic opportunity and to live out their faith free from governmental interference. These men and women established families and built livelihoods, exhibiting virtues that help form our unique American ethos and passing down traditions that continue to shape our cultural identity. Today, on German American Day, we commemorate the extraordinary contributions of German Americans to our country. And we pay tribute to the more than 43 million Americans who, like myself, claim German heritage. The story of German American is embedded in the most sacred chapters of American law. When members of the First Continental Congress met in Philadelphia to forge a future of freedom on this continent, they walked down the streets brimming with German businesses. Their deliberations were diligently reported in German language broadsides and rigorously debated in the German-owned coffee houses. On July 4th, 1776, when the founding fathers declared our independence, a German language newspaper was the first to break the news to the new nation. The next day, the streets were flooded with German translation of Thomas Jefferson's revolutionary words proclaiming that all men are equal. Ever since, Americans of German descent have left their marks on our history. German influence played a large role in establishing our unyielding commitment to universal public education. It was a German American, Margarete Meyer-Schurz, who opened the first kindergarten in America. German Americans helped champion physical education and build the first gymnasium for school buildings, positively affecting the physical health of our school children. German Americans also introduced vocational training in public schools, providing new avenues for economic empowerment for young people and fueling American prosperity. Over the years, Germans' customs also become infused into our American culture. Our cherished Christmas and Easter traditions are influenced by practices of early German arrivals. At Christmas time, we draw on the German culture when we decorate Christmas trees and exchange gifts. During Easter, we have German immigrants to thank for our Easter egg hunts. These traditionally German customs have become staples of American culture and continue to unite Americans of all backgrounds. This month also marks the 30th anniversary of German reunification, following the fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1989. This historical moment marked a triumph for democracy and paved the way for a more free and open Europe. As we celebrate the many contributions of German Americans to our country, we also celebrate our strong transatlantic ties with Germany, and we commit to working together to forge a brighter future for both our nations and the world. Today, we celebrate the social achievements and cultural contributions of all German Americans and reflect on the hardworking and efficient spirit that they have imbued in our national character. From engineers and doctors to bakers and inventors, they have strengthened our economy and enriched our communities. Thanks in part to their dedication and hard work, our country remains a shining beacon of freedom and prosperity. Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, to hereby proclaim October 6, 2020 as German American Day. I call upon all Americans to celebrate the achievements and contributions of German Americans to our nation with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. In witness whereof, I have hereon to set my hand this 5th day of October in the year of the Lord 2020, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 245th. Donald J. Trump.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful tribute and proclamation indeed. As I mentioned at the beginning of our virtual celebration, we will hear more music from the American virtuosi. And it is now time for a beautiful recording of one of their very own compositions, Morning in Dilsberg. Thank you so much. That was absolutely delightful indeed. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Professor Margaret Gonglewski, who will read the proclamation from the Mayor's Office in Washington, D.C. on behalf of German American Day. Professor Gonglewski.
Thank you so much. And I bring everyone greetings from the George Washington University, which is right up the street from the White House and the State Department, but equally important, right up the street from the German-American Friendship Garden. It's my honor to read this proclamation from Muriel Bowser, the Mayor of Washington, D.C. German-American Day, October 6th, 2020. Whereas German American Day is a celebration that recognizes and honors Germanic heritage and history in America through music, folk dance, and cultural traditions. And whereas German American Day promotes and preserves German history, language, and culture through educational programs and scholarships throughout the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And whereas German American Day is an opportunity to introduce German American culture and heritage and increase the visibility of the German American community in Washington, D.C. And whereas knowledge of Germanic American traditions and customs helps to enrich the social fabric of our broader community and contribute significantly to the visibility and social diversity of our city. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of Washington, D.C., do hereby proclaim October 6th, 2020 as German American Day in Washington, D.C. Muriel Bowser, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Professor Gonglewski. Professor Gonglewski is also the head of the German department at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. So she has a vital role in passing on the German language, German culture, and German history to the next generation. Thank you. We will now continue with our musical entertainment program with a music selection by Alex Meixner. And I hope Alex is here with us. I think I saw his name earlier. So please stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Alex Meixner. I'm a musician from South Florida, originally from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I am currently in New Braunfels, Texas. My family, my great-grandfather, emigrated from Burgenland in Austria to Copley, Pennsylvania, which is a settlement of Burgenlander Austrians. But my family are ethnic Germans that were in Austria and came to the United States. And I feel it is very important to celebrate our German, Austrian, and all the heritages that make up the melting pot of the United States and continue to make it such a wonderful place for us all to live. New Braunfels, particularly, is a town that was settled 175 years ago by Germans who have made this one of the most amazing cities for German Americans. It is so wonderful to be here to celebrate German American Day. This is one of the biggest Oktoberfest songs of the last 10 years. It's a little song that's called Die Hände zum Himmel. Put your hands in the air, make some noise. Und dann die Hände zum Himmel. Komm, lasst uns fröhlich sein. And now you clap. Wir klatschen zusammen. Und keiner ist allein. And now you wave. Und dann die Hände zum Himmel. Komm, lasst uns fröhlich sein. And now you clap. Wir klatschen zusammen und keiner ist allein. Wenn du heute nicht in der Stimme bist, lass doch alles so sein, wie es ist. Wir wollen trinken, noch keinen trinken, weil man die Sorgen dann vergisst. Willst du dich manchmal auch so leiden? Glaub mir, das wird gar nicht so sein, denn heute Abend gehen wir feiern, die ganze Welt ist ein Verein. Hands up und an die Hände zum Himmel, komm, lasst uns fröhlich sein. Wir Nikolai. Jetzt nur noch Kaspatz und Gefällt. Tanzen, singen im Sallo, den Zelt. Nikolai, denn das will keine, uns gehört die ganze Welt. An morgen wird heute nicht gedacht. Wir feiern weiter die ganze Nacht. Lass du eben einmal schweben und dabei wird durchgelacht. Und die Hände zum Himmel und lasst uns fröhlich sein. Now you clap! Wir klatschen zusammen und keiner ist allein. Und dann die Hände zum Himmel und lasst uns fröhlich sein. Wir klatschen zusammen und keiner ist allein. Somebody make some noise! Scream! Und dann die Hände zum Himmel, komm, lass uns fröhlich sein. Wir klatschen zusammen und keiner ist allein. Wir klatschen zusammen und keiner ist allein. Sicky, saggy, sicky, saggy! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Sicky, saggy, sicky, saggy! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Sicky, saggy, sicky, saggy! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Roast! Let's have a round of applause for our sponsors, Krause's Cafe, here in New Braunfels, Texas. Let's also have a round of applause for our sponsors, Das Fenster Magazine, the only German language publication in North America since 1904, keeping German American heritage alive for everyone. Give them a big round of applause, everybody.
Oh, thank you. Das war ja fast wie auf dem Oktoberfest. That brought a little bit of Wiesn mood to the US. Unfortunately, most of the Oktoberfests are not happening either this year, including the original one in Munich, of course, thanks to COVID. It is now my pleasure to introduce Miss Shelley Arnold. She is the president of the German Society of Maryland, and she's joining us today from her home in Maryland. Shelley?
Thank you. Thank you, and greetings from Baltimore and the German Society of Maryland. I'm honored today to read the State of Maryland proclamation from the Governor of the State of Maryland. German American Day, October 6, 2020. Whereas in 1987, a joint resolution was passed by the U.S. Congress and President Ronald Reagan issued an official proclamation establishing the first German American Day. Since that day in 1987, this observance has become a nationwide cultural tradition for the Americans of German descent. And whereas the Association of German American Societies of Greater Washington, D.C., is preparing this year's event in conjunction with numerous German American Day activities throughout the United States. And whereas this distinguished association is an umbrella association with 8 member clubs residing in our state of Maryland. And whereas Maryland is proud to join in recognizing the rich tradition of German history and German American people as we celebrate the 33rd annual German American Day. Now, therefore, I, Lawrence J. Hogan, Jr., Governor of the great state of Maryland, do hereby proclaim October 6, 2020 as German American Day in Maryland and do commend this observance to all of our citizens. Signed by Governor Larry Hogan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And I would like to turn over to my co-host, Katja Albrecht, who will bring a greeting on behalf of the Vereinigte Kirche, the United Church. Katja?
Thank you, Katja. And it's a great pleasure to be bringing these greetings. You can see the steeple of the United States Church behind me in the picture. However, This steeple was built only in 1897. The place where it is built on was designated in 1768 to become the place for a house of worship when Jacob Funk was developing his estate, which later came to be called New Hamburg and then Foggy Bottom. Serving my church as a minister is a great privilege because it has been there through almost all the phases of German American history. There are also sad stories, as mentioned in the brief introduction of German American history, times when war was going on, where there was no such thing to easily to be recognized as German-American friendships, times when the world was torn apart, and times when people who used to be friends learned to see each other as enemies. People could not celebrate their German-American heritage publicly. They could not hold events using their native language, German, and they could not publish their newspapers. I have learned during my 2 years of service to the United Church that most amazingly, a church has always been a place where all the joyful experiences and all the painful experiences in our lives, in a community's life, can come together and have a place big enough to hold them all. The church is a safe place for people during the happiest moments and also the place to gather on sad occasions. It can hold all these moments. During these past 6 months, we have had to reinvent our church, as I'm sure so many of the organizations and institutions that you all represent or that you work for have had to do in the same way. Much to our own surprise, we have learned that a virtual place, a virtual sanctuary in our case, can also be a place for comfort and for healing, a safe space to share what is uplifting, a safe place to develop the vision of the times that may come when we are in a sad phase. That is not only, but also because all of these experiences of the people who have gathered before us are kept in our memory and help us to get through these times. I also think that these past months have taught us how much we need these spaces where we share our experiences. Whatever that may be, I can only speak on behalf of my experiences in my church. But I do feel that the German American Friendship Day is such a space as well. A space of sharing, of getting to know each other better. A space to hang on to our visions and to develop new ones. A space to put it deeply into our conscience that we can only thrive if we put the best of our ability together and make an effort to meet the needs of today's world. We are so closely connected in the German-American history and the German-American friendship that we should never, whatever may come, risk this connection. Any kind of division is so very harmful. Respect and togetherness make this world a better place. This morning, I had a visit with German students in Denver, Colorado. I had signed up for the program Meet a German. And I always have to smile because I think it's so funny to be a German. As you know, there's no such thing as a typical German, and there's no such thing as a typical American, or even as a typical German American. But still, it was so fun to be with them in their classroom virtually, to hear them try to speak this language, which is foreign to most of them. And it was fun to see how curious and open-minded they were, and how they wanted to learn what has shaped this country, and how they did have a sense that all these cultures who came to this country to make their fortune are the great gift that has led to the colorful and rich nation that the United States is today. I would like, since this is my profession, to offer a prayer of blessing for this German-American Friendship Day 2020. Eternal God, you have led people to come to this country for decades, for centuries. Some were desperate to find a new place to live out of economic and out of fearing for their livelihoods. Others came because they were adventurous and because they wanted to make a living here. So many have contributed through the long history of German-American friendship, of German-American identity. I ask you to bless this virtual gathering. I ask you to bless each and every one of us in the space where we are today. I ask you to bless us as we make an effort to live German-American heritage and German-American friendship. I ask you to bless this day and all the days to come. And I thank you for all the creativity that we experience and that I'm sure you will help us uphold so that the future will be one shaped by people of goodwill and good faith. Amen.
Thank you so much, Katja. What a wonderful and uplifting message. Thank you indeed. It is now my pleasure to bring you a video greeting from the former governor of California, Jerry Brown.
Hi, I'm Jerry Brown. I'm speaking to you from the Mountain House. This is where my German ancestor, August Schuckmann, came in 1878. He became an innkeeper like his father in Wussen, Germany. So many Germans came to California to seek their fortune, and in the years after that, they contributed mightily to the state of California and to the entire nation. Thank you for honoring me as the Distinguished German American of the Year. And I look forward to joining all of you at the 2020 Gala, but in 2021. Thank you and see you there.
Oh, thank you, Governor Brown. Yes, we did indeed have to move our gala, again, a result of COVID, and the 2020 gala will be held in the spring of 2021 in California, in the town of Sacramento, and the invitations are yet to be sent, but we do hope to see many of you there, especially if you live somewhere on the West Coast. We will now continue with some music from Alex Meixner and then follow with the reading of the Virginia Proclamation by Michael Heinen.
Ich leg im Gras und schaue zum Himmel rauf. Schau die ganze Woche gleich lustig aus. Und flieg ein Flieger vorbei, da begegnet zu im Au. Hallo! Bist du auch dabei? Da bin ich super drauf. Everyone fly! We're gonna fly! Und ich flieg wie ein Tiger, bin so stark wie ein Tiger und so groß wie die Gruppe so hoch. Oh. Immer wieder und ich schwimm zu der Riebe und nee. Nimm dich bei der Tag, liegt im Napf, scream! Und ich sag, heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Und ich flieg wie ein Flieger, bin so stark wie ein Tiger und so groß wie die Gruppe so hoch. Oh. Bring ihm mir wieder Honig, schwimm, schwimm, schwimm zu der Rübe Honig, nehm dich bei der Tag, lick dich mal, scream! Honigstag, heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Everybody fly on die Flieg, flieg. Wie ein Flieger, bin so stark. Stark, stark. Wie ein Tiger und so groß. Groß. Chev. Hey, Chev, that is so gross, you make me sick. Man. But the German gross means tall or big, so raise your hands. And scream as loud as you can. Ah! And scream as loud as you can. And scream as loud as you can. Bin ich rappe so hoch. Oh, con. Bring ihm mir wieder Honig. Schwimm zu der Rübe Honig. Nehm dich bei der Tafel, lick dich mal, scream. So ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Heute ist so ein schöner Tag, la 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 la. Uh-oh. Make some noise, fellas! Siggy saggy! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Sick it, suck it! Hoi, hoi, hoi! Sick it, suck it! Hoi, hoi, hoi! German American heritage ist wunderbar!
All right, it is indeed a beautiful day, at least here on the East Coast in Washington, D.C. Blue sky, sunshine. It is now my pleasure to welcome Michael Heinen, also a GAHF board member, who will bring greetings from the governor of Virginia.
There we go. Einen wunderschönen guten Nachmittag. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor to read the Proclamation for German American Day from the Governor of Virginia. October 6, 2020. Whereas the first Germans to land in Virginia arrived at Jamestown aboard the vessel Mary and Margaret in 1608. And whereas by 1620, German mineral specialists and sawmill wrights followed to work and settled in the Virginia colony as skilled craftsmen, glassmakers, and carpenters. And whereas German immigrants and their descendants have contributed to all aspects of Virginian and American culture, commerce, and history for more than 400 years. And whereas on October 6, 2020, the Association of German American Societies of Greater Washington, D.C., AGAS, will celebrate the 1987 joint resolution of the United States Congress, signed by the President, proclaiming German American Day. And whereas German American Day is an opportunity to recognize the large German American community in Virginia, whose abilities and contributions strengthens Virginia's culture and economy. Now, therefore, I, Ralph S. Northam, do hereby recognize October 6, 2020 as German American Day in our Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance to the attention of all our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
No worries.
Thank you. And we now have a special little gem for you. Our wonderful colleague Beth has prepared a video montage with voices from the German American community. So I hope you will stay with us through this wonderful little presentation.
Elizabeth Borowski, and I'm here with my siblings, Emmanuel and Francis. We grew up as first-generation German Americans, and German culture was a huge part of our upbringing, both here in the USA as well as during our travels. Over the years, we've gotten to know the Germany of our parents and grandparents through visits and meetings with relatives and friends, through German American heritage organizations, and through concert tours. When we think about Germany,
we think about the structure and beauty and the culture. We think of the stunning architecture, the cathedrals of Aachen, Berlin, and Cologne, the castles and palaces of Wartburg, Heidelberg, and Neuschwanstein, as well as numerous quaint little towns that seem right out of a fairy tale or film set.
We think of the delicious food, and it's more than beer and bratwurst or Berliners. Even in the smallest towns, there are Bäckerei, Konditorei, and Fleischerei that make our mouths water.
We think of the colorful Weihnachtsmarkt, with the scent of Glühwein wafting through the air, and the summer festivals that bring communities together with food, dance, and music.
We think of exemplary dedication to the environment, from utilizing wind and solar power to a well-sorted recycling system, as well as effective and reliable public transportation.
And of course, we think about the music. Germany is the birthplace of composers whose names and music are recognized by people around the world. This music has laid the foundation for not only future generations of classical composers, but also many other non-classical styles and genres.
Our family became known in Germany as the American Virtuosi and performed extensively in concert halls and festivals throughout the country. We were honored to perform in a variety of venues, in prominent concert halls, as well as community centers and churches.
We have learned about the history, culture, and traditions of this nation as we explored the country from north to south and west to east.
Amongst the highlights of our artistic experiences have been
performing for a soccer stadium of 45,000 young people in Cologne at the 2005 World Youth Day,
receiving a master's degree from the Folkwang Universität der Künste in Essen,
establishing and performing in the Brandenburg Musik und Begegnungen for East and West Germans,
and being invited by the Rhein-Neckar Kulturstiftung in Heidelberg to serve as artists in residence for 3 months at the Dilsberg Castle, and performing the Beethoven Triple Concerto as soloists with a German orchestra throughout their United States concert tour. All of this has impacted our perspective of the Germany of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and our identity as German Americans.
Alles Gute!
Gouda, my name is Miles Arish Eakins. I'm a German American and a board member for the Germanic American Institute in St. Paul, Minnesota. My mom, Annette, is from a small Hessian town called Altenbussek, just outside of Gießen, where my dad was stationed in the U.S. Army. Growing up in America, I was able to experience German culture, food, and language on a daily basis thanks to my mom. I've also been lucky enough throughout my life to frequently visit my family in Germany and experience German culture from a local perspective. Whether I'm cheering for Eintracht Frankfurt, cooking a delicious German meal, or celebrating St. Nikolaus Day, these and other German cultural experiences have helped shape my identity and give me a more global perspective. Preserving this German culture in my day-to-day life helps keep me connected to my family and roots. It's important to me for my young daughters to grow up with these same experiences so they too can have a connection to their German and Hessian heritage, while also being able to use German culture as a tool to apply a broader lens on their perspectives of the world.
Hello, my name is Don Thoreau, and I was born in Berlin in 1946. I was raised by two very German parents. My mother, who is 96 and living in a nursing home nearby, still speaks German to me. I pretend to understand everything she says, although I admit I don't always know what she's saying. My father was a strict disciplinarian. Overall, I feel very proud of my German heritage, more so now than ever before. So I didn't think much about my heritage until I retired and joined the Delaware Sängerbund and shortly thereafter, the German American Heritage Foundation. I'm proud of my heritage. Thank you for listening.
Hallo all you German Americans. Mein Name ist Jörg Bauer und mein Vater war ein Münchner und meine Mutter war aus St. Gallen in der Schweiz. So bin ich ein sogenannter Ami-Bayer eigentlich. But all joking aside, I am a proud German American. I love being an American and all the freedoms and opportunities that we enjoy here in the United States. But I also value my German heritage. The Germans played a key role in how this country developed and brought a lot of old world thinking that I think still persists to this day. So I think the blend of what America enjoys in opportunity, but what values we bring with us from the old country really is a very unique blend, and I'm proud of that. And so with that background, I say Prost to all of you, and let's not forget the grit and intellectual curiosity that our German forefathers contributed to us, and let's carry that forward. Cheers.
Well, my name is Gladys Vanessa Strachan, and I'm from the Green Bay, Wisconsin area, and my German heritage comes from my grandmother's side of the family. She was a Liebman, and they came in about the 1830s to Green Bay and settled as farmers and were successful in that venture and went on to own a business in the local community. And just with hard work and dedication, they were successful in that business venture. It was a meat packing plant that was subsequently sold to in the 70s to Packerland Packing, and that is still in existence to this day. So they set the foundation and set the standards for the business, which gives me a sense of pride knowing that I come from that line of hardworking German Americans who came to this country to do just that, to work hard and make themselves a better life. And I feel proud to be part of that heritage.
My name is Gerald Lemke, and I'm here to tell you how I appreciate my German heritage. It all started with my grandfather, who was born in a small community in northern Germany called Grabina. He had several neighbors that were Polish, because it was right near the Polish border. And so when he arrived in America, he spoke both Polish and German. He was a superb tailor in Germany, but when he came to America, he decided to settle in a corner of southeast Nebraska and became a farmer. He had 4 children. I had 4 boys and 2 girls, and my father is one of his boys. And I enjoy my German heritage. I love polkas, I love German beer, and I love German food, having eaten at the local restaurant here called Probst. I love it. It's just great. So I also have 2 granddaughters who have studied German at the college level, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of them. And one of them has even visited Germany recently.
Hallo, mein Name ist Karin Lieselotti und ich bin die Tochter eines deutschen Einwanderers. Meine Mutter wurde in Stuttgart geboren und kam in den 1950er Jahren in die USA. I'm very proud of my German heritage and happy that I grew up having an Oma and Opa. My heart still swells every time I remember my Oma calling me Schätzle. There are many things that I relish about my German heritage. The beautiful music of composers Beethoven, Bach, Brahms, Strauss, just to name a few. Fine German engineering of Mercedes, Porsche, BMW. Germans' propensity to wanderlust and the love of walking outdoors. And of course the very strong work ethic. And we cannot forget the food. Bratwurst, Laugenbrötchen, Jägerschnitzel, Rouladen, Linsen und Spätzle, and the beer. And my personal childhood favorites, Ritter Sport Bars and Duplos. German immigrants have contributed much to our U.S. culture and society, and we are all the richer because of it. Vielen Dank! Auf Wiedersehen!
Hallo ihr Lieben, ich heiße Elizabeth Kam und ich bin eine deutsche Amerikanerin. Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Kam and I am a German American. I share German ancestry on both sides of my family, and I did grow up with some German traditions that I guess I very much took for granted or didn't completely understand. My first time going to Germany was actually when I was 16, and that ultimately took me to Salzburg, Austria, where I met my husband, as well as Munich, Germany. I would say that my German ancestry is very important to me. It really helped me find my identity because I am also a military brat, so I moved around quite a lot. And being American, I am a melting pot of different cultures on its own. So for me to connect with my German heritage was something really special to me, as well as being able to connect with my husband's family and learn German and really just embrace their culture. We currently live here now, but it's really nice to be able to go back and forth, as well as for myself speak German. And I would say that a lot of the times I definitely feel like I am German myself. With that said, I am happy to be part of the German American Heritage Museum, as well as part of the German American Day 2020. So,
hi, I'm Sandra Roper, and I'm a proud German American. My mom's family is from near Hamburg, and my dad's family is from near Boston. And I feel really lucky to have grown up in a household where my parents were able to blend different traditions from both of their cultures to really feel cemented in my identity as a German American. I'm really thankful for the perspective and cultural awareness that being German American has brought into my life and into the discussions and relationships that I'm able to have with other people.
Hallo allerseits, ich heiße Ryan O'Connor, and I have always been interested in exploring my German heritage. Although most of my family emigrated to the United States from Ireland and Poland, German has still been a very important part of my life and has also represented a sort of mysterious aspect of my family history because not much is known about the German side of our family. So as I've explored the German language, culture, and history throughout my life, it sort of represented a means for me to reconnect and re-explore this mysterious element of my past, my history, and my culture. So I hope everyone enjoys German American Day 2020, and perhaps you can use this day as an opportunity to reflect upon and learn more about your own German heritage, just like I will be doing today. Dankeschön.
Well, that was wonderful. It's great to see some young faces and hear some young voices from the German American community. It's a delight to know that this heritage, our traditions, will be carried forward into the next generation. This concludes the official part of our program. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, we actually urge you to visit our websites, and we'll blend those in just a second. But before we part, I encourage you to please stay online. We have a wonderful tribute from the American virtuosi, whom you've already heard, with music by Ludwig van Beethoven, the Triple Concerto, an excerpt from the Triple Concerto, the Rondo alla Polacca. And I really do hope that you will stay for that, as this year is Ludwig van Beethoven's 250th anniversary. And I am now going to blend in our little information slides here. So you already heard that Das Fenster has generously decided to offer a discount. Please use the code GAM. We will also post this online. Here is our website for the German American Heritage Foundation and Museum. If you liked what you saw, please go there, pay us a visit, like us on Facebook, join us on Instagram and Twitter, and perhaps become a member. And Katja Albrecht is the pastor of the United Church, die Vereinigte Kirche. You can also click on that link, visit the website to check out all the wonderful programs that they offer. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If the weather is as nice in your part of the country as it is here, I'm certain you will. So please stay tuned for this musical tribute to Beethoven by the American virtuosi. Thank you so much.